think you'll all agree that that was a chair admitting I've probably got as long as I want now, seeing as we were so short in the first one.
I don't think I said that.
Comrades, good afternoon. Riccardo la Torre, Regional Secretary, the Eastern Fire Brigade Union, moving Resolution 2, fire cuts in the Eastern Region. Conference. I addressed you last year from the rostrum in Southend on a similar subject. It's fair to say that when I come to the rostrum last year, the Fire Brigade Union was upset, we were disappointed that we were even having to have the discussion about fighting to defend a vital life-saving service such as the fire service in 2016 in one of the largest economies in the world. It's now 2017 and I find myself at the rostrum addressing you again. But this time we're not upset in the Fire Brigade Union. We're angry. In fact, we're furious that after everything we already knew last year, everything we have known since 2010, everything we still know today, I find myself here again and we are having to have the same debate. But this time on the back of another year full of completely avoidable tragedies. Tragedies where we have witnessed people lose their homes, tragedies where we've seen people lose their livelihoods and in the worst circumstances lose their lives. Conference. One of the most heartbreaking atrocities that I'm referring to there didn't actually happen in our region, but it was close and it certainly affected the fire services of the Eastern region, and that was the Grenfell Tower tragedy. Now the opposition and certain parts of the media are screaming that we shouldn't be politicising events such as that for obvious reasons. Conference, be under no illusion, the Grenfell fire happened, and incidents like it happened as a result of a chain of political decisions and political choices made by this Rest assured, Conference, the Fire Brigade Union will not stop until those who are responsible are held to account for what happened on that day. Unfortunately, we've seen our fair share of the life-threatening and dangerous results of them same political choices here in the Eastern region. We have seen the number of firefighters and control staff cut like never before. Conference, as I stand here today, in the Eastern region alone, we have seen over 950 emergency firefighters and emergency control operators cut since the Tories got back into power in 2010. That is almost 1,000 firefighters and control staff no longer able to respond to the communities in the east of England in their time of need when they need us most. And at that same time, Conference, we've seen our fire stations cut, we've seen our fire engines cut. We have seen response times increase to an all-time high as an inevitable result of these cuts. We have seen incidents at a 5-year high despite them telling us that they are on the download. Conference, we have seen fire inspections and fire inspection officers reduced. And that is because local Tory-run authorities and Tory ministers will massage the facts. They will hide the fact that that is work carried out by the very frontline firefighters that they have cut, and instead try and convince people that we do nothing but sit around and play snooker and drink tea all day. How dare they, Conference? How dare they? Grenfell has brought what we do to the forefront of national debate at the moment. But the men and women of the UK Fire Service and here in the East are out there every single day, carrying out their acts, saving lives, risking their own lives. How dare they, Conference, try and undermine us? I challenge any Tory minister to look at the images of those firefighters literally lining up outside Grenfell Tower to run into that burning high-rise. And you tell me that their worth has reduced since 2010. You tell me that they are underutilised or underworked. How dare they, Conference? And you'll forgive me at this point for stealing a line from our General Secretary, Matt Rack, because I'm sure he will, but it's a point that's worth repeating. He addressed the National Labour Conference earlier this year and he reminded Tory ministers, those Tory ministers that would have people believe we are the enemy, that we are the cause of our problems, that if them images of them exhausted men and women covered in soot, literally queuing up to run back into that inferno, stir any sort of emotion in you, then remember, they're not superhumans, they're not superheroes, That, conference, is what a public sector worker looks like, and more importantly, that is what a trade union member looks like. We have to look at them individuals, and we make no apologies for this. When we speak of funding the fire service, we don't just speak of vital funding for equipment, for training, for response. We talk about proper funding to pay them men and women properly, a wage that they can support their families on, a wage that they can live on. Firefighters in the East are now looking at 7 years of pay restraint. They are, in real terms, £5,000 worse off than they were this time in 2010. Your firefighters and your control staff are struggling, conference, and it is simply unacceptable. I'll end on this. We've reached a dangerous tipping point, conference. A life in the eastern region isn't worth less than a life in the metropolitan areas. Yet if we was to see a Grenfell type incident today in the east of England, as a result of the deregulation and privatisation of building control and fire assessment, as a result of the elimination of public funded fire research, as a result of the abolition of national standards, as a result of the reduction of fire inspections and fire inspection officers, I'm afraid to tell you, conference, that we simply do not have the resources or the capability to respond to it in the East in the way that London Fire Brigade so bravely did. And the fire authorities across the 6 counties will proudly respond to all of our freedom of information requests, and they will tell you that if such an incident was to happen in the east of England today, they will send 6 pumps, 7 pumps, 8 pumps. Any frontline firefighter will tell you, and there are many in here today, so please ask them. That is dreamland. That would take so long to deliver, if we were even able to deliver it at all, that any attempts to save endangered life would be absolutely futile as a result of the cuts that we have faced, conference. So please, conference, I urge you, support our resolution, attend our fringe meeting in the Newham room at lunchtime. We've got an award-winning film that will arm you with the information you need.
Okay, come on, Riccardo.
To take this debate up.
Oh, your socks.
But on a serious note, conference, please, we need to address this ticking time bomb in the East. We need to reverse the dangerous situation that this Tory government and Tory fire authorities have put our communities in the east of England. So please commit Labour locally to fighting and reversing these cuts, and reflect that as the National Party have in all local Labour manifestos. Thank you, conference. I move.